We were just talking about the shape of a protein. The shape is determined by which amino acids are bound together. Each bond is called a peptide bond, and it results in the primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary shape of proteins. Well, if you were to go in the other direction, from tertiary to secondary to quaternary, you are changing the shape of that protein and it's no longer functional. This will happen if proteins are overheated. Chemicals can cause this, radiation can cause this. There's a change in the protein structure, and the protein is no longer functional, and that shape cannot be made again. It can't go back to the tertiary shape. These shapes are formed as the protein is being built. And this is why newborns are very sensitive to high temperature. They cannot control their body temperature the way adults can, or younger children. Their proteins or enzymes will denature and they can die. So a newborn's temperature has to be kept below a certain degree. We'll talk a little bit about how enzymes function. Remember, an enzyme is a protein, so its shape is important, and you can see that in the active site. The enzyme is yellow here, and that active site is a little bit mouth-shaped, but it will be exactly the same shape as the substrate. The substrate is the molecule the enzyme is going to act upon. Once the substrate binds to the enzyme, it's called the enzyme-substrate complex. The substrate is changed, the product is formed and released. Now this substrate will fit into the site like a key in a lock. And it tells us that each enzyme is incredibly specific. Each enzyme has only one substrate. And they're very, very fast. So you don't need a lot of that enzyme, but you need many, many different types of enzymes per cell. In this picture, the enzyme is acting on two substrates to form a product, and this would be an example of dehydration synthesis, where S1 and S2, let's say it's glucose and fructose, react with the enzyme to form sucrose. The enzyme is so fast, it can act 10,000 times per second or more. In the body, we have some high energy compounds. They're called high energy because they contain a high energy bond, and when that bond is broken, the energy is released. So the main one is adenosine triphosphate, ATP. So how many phosphates do you think are in that? Right, 3. And that's the most common one, and it provides energy for absolutely everything that's taking place in the body. Contraction of muscles, building of carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins. ATP is required. So ATP is formed in the mitochondria. And I guess, these structures, you don't need to be able to draw these structures or identify these structures. It looks a little complicated. For this for the adenine and ribose, the adenosine part, I just draw a blob. And then we have 3 phosphates here. Well, the high energy bond is basically this last bond here. And when that last bond is broken, now you've only got 2 phosphates, ADP. So energy stored in ATP is released when the ATP is broken down to ADP somewhere else outside the mitochondria. So in the mitochondria, our nutrients are broken down, releasing energy. That energy is trapped in the ADP molecule right here as it forms ATP. Our 4th category of compounds is nucleic acids. Deoxyribonucleic acid and ribonucleic acid, commonly known as DNA and RNA. As with the other 3 categories, they're organic. They're composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, as all of them are, but nucleic acids have nitrogen and phosphorus. These molecules store and transfer information essential to protein synthesis. That's DNA's role. DNA stores the information to make proteins, and that information is copied onto RNA, which can then leave the nucleus to make the protein. DNA is made up of boxcars called nucleotides. So here's a nucleotide. A nucleotide consists of a sugar, a phosphate group, and a nitrogenous base. The nitrogenous bases you may recognize if you've had DNA study in the past: adenine and guanine, cytosine and thymine. These are the 4 nitrogenous bases in DNA. Of course, you do not have to draw or recognize these structures, but you do need to know the names: adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. RNA does not have thymine, but it has uracil. Uracil replaces thymine. The DNA molecule is a double strand of nucleotide chains. They're called complementary. That's because on one strand, if you have A for adenine, it will always pair on the other strand with T for thymine. A with T, C with G. Those are complementary pairs. And then those strands will twist around each other to form what's called a double helix, similar to a spiral staircase. So here's our double helix here. This is one chain of nucleotides, and here's another chain of nucleotides. A only can pair with thymine, cytosine can pair with guanine,
Here is a cell, the basic unit of all living tissue. In most human cells, there is a structure called the nucleus. The nucleus contains the genome. In humans, the genome is split between 23 pairs of chromosomes. Each chromosome contains a long strand of DNA, tightly packaged around proteins called histones. Within the DNA are sections called genes. These genes contain the instructions for making proteins. When a gene is switched on, an enzyme called RNA polymerase attaches to the start of the gene. It moves along the DNA, making a strand of messenger RNA out of free bases in the nucleus. The DNA code determines the order in which the free bases are added to the messenger RNA. This process is called transcription. Before the messenger RNA can be used as a template for the production of proteins, it needs to be processed. This involves removing and adding sections of RNA. The messenger RNA then moves out of the nucleus into the cytoplasm. Protein factories in the cytoplasm, called ribosomes, bind to the messenger RNA. The ribosome reads the code in the messenger RNA to produce a chain made up of amino acids. There are 20 different types of amino acid. Transfer RNA molecules carry the amino acids to the ribosome. The messenger RNA is read 3 bases at a time. As each triplet is read, a transfer RNA delivers the corresponding amino acid. This is added to a growing chain of amino acids. Once the last amino acid has been added, the chain folds into a complex 3D shape to form the protein.
So that process was the formation of proteins using DNA and RNA, 3 different types of RNA, in a process called translation. So here's our DNA structure again. 2 strands of DNA. They're A for adenine, T for thymine. They bond together between the 2 strands, and that's complementary base pairing. Cytosine with guanine. What holds them together are those very weak but numerous hydrogen bonds. RNA is quite similar to DNA, but it is a single chain of nucleotides. Not only is it a single chain, but remember it doesn't have thymine. It has uracil instead of thymine. So wherever you had an A in DNA, it would bond complementary to thymine, but there is no thymine. It will bond to the uracil. Also, RNA has ribonucleic acid instead of deoxyribose. RNA has ribose sugar instead of deoxyribose sugar. Here are some similarities and differences. RNA is a little snippet. DNA is a huge piece. Which of the following is not associated with DNA? Uracil, that's found in RNA.